Let's just quickly review the material that we've already covered. Our goal was to get a better understanding of what philosophy is. And in the process, we're going to be talking about the central questions of philosophy. And it suggested that a way to start is by looking at the etymology. Remember, etymology is the word origin, the origin of the particular word. So the question was, what was the etymology of the word philosophy? And we mentioned it came from two words, philo, love, Sophia, wisdom. So philosophy was the love of wisdom or the love of knowledge. But we pointed out that this might not be specific enough because there are a lot of other people who love knowledge and love wisdom and have a lot of it who are not philosophers. Scientists, mathematicians, other people teaching subject areas in colleges, sorry, they love wisdom, they love knowledge also, but they're not philosophers. So there's something about the problems that philosophers deal with that makes philosophy unique. And I said that the way we identify these questions that are of interest to philosophers is that they fall into three fundamental groups: knowledge, reality, and value. And I also mentioned that there's a specific tool that philosophers have, that philosophers developed to answer their questions, namely logic. And we went through what the various branches within philosophy are called. In the area of knowledge, the branch that studies knowledge in philosophy is called epistemology. Greek word episteme. We'll get back to that later on. Theory of knowledge. The questions that fall within the realm of reality that are of interest to philosophers come in a branch of philosophy called metaphysics. And questions of value fall in a couple of branches in philosophy, namely ethics, good, evil, right, wrong, what's good, what's evil, what makes an action right or wrong. And as I said, a sub-branch, and this is a little controversial. Some philosophers disagree with me. They think political philosophy is an independent branch, but I think it's really a sub-branch of ethics. It's ethics with regard to the government and to the citizen. What does the government owe the citizen? And we'll talk about that a little bit more. And then there's aesthetics. What is beauty? Are there objective standards? And we also mentioned within philosophy, we're going to come across other disciplines. We've already mentioned logic. And then there are another way of looking at philosophy, these philosophies of, and usually philosophy of, and we'll see there'll be a particular discipline. In fact, let's take one for an example, philosophy of religion. Philosophical questions about religion fall within our three main areas. That is, some have to do with knowledge. Do we know that God exists? So there are epistemological questions within philosophy of religion. Some of it have to do with reality. Is there a being that is God? That's a question about metaphysics. And then there are questions related to ethics. That is, there's certainly a view in ethics that for there to be objective right or wrong, there must be a God who establishes this. Okay, so, and we have these philosophies of, in various, philosophy of science, philosophy of religion, philosophy of mind, philosophy of law, philosophy of mathematics, philosophy of logic, and all of these philosophies do not deal with the questions or with all the questions in science. That is, in philosophy of science, you're not doing science, you're not doing biology, but you're answering questions about the study of these things. Philosophy of mind, some people say, well, isn't that what psychology does? Well, yes and no. Psychology was actually an outgrowth of philosophy of mind, and a fairly recent outgrowth, really, within the last couple hundred years. But philosophers don't deal with the same questions that psychologists really look. We're not trying to explain people's behavior, but we're trying to understand the nature of mind. What are their mental substances? There are questions in metaphysics. philosophy, law, mathematics, logic. You understand there are other there are a whole there's a whole long list of philosophy of